goes, if you want to get mid control, how else are you going to make sure that you're pushing in from one of the sides? Whether it's B main or A main, you got to be able to take a bit more control than just sending in Ban alone. And it looks like this time they are going to go for a stack. Armageddon online as well. We'll see if it gets used right away.
Yeah, first full buy round, true full buy round for Talon, and it starts things off already. Salvos towards the back and in with a dimensional drift just to gather so much information. They're looking for some spams against the GE players, but nothing quite found just yet. The smokes are blocking so much of it off. Ben is able to at least take one down, but here comes the net, and it actually catches on to a couple of players. They're gonna have to try to tuck in between the smokes to stay alive. Nightfall gets sent out as well.
And you know there was only one heaven, so you know that the main force still should have been main, and you're able to reclaim B heaven as well. Great hold from Global Esports. That barrier mesh really just slowing down the entire team. Ban still had to come out from his ult.
Quick mid-round decision from Talon though, quickly trying to kind of transition over onto the A site, and GE does make a good read for it as well, splitting their defenses 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2 is the way you have to go right now when it's a 4v4, just trying to get some more information. You still have some semblance of delay, especially with the C still available from Crystal. But just because of the focus they had, all right, Haunt goes out. You should be able to regroup over by the A side, but they just don't have information. They decide, okay, we're just going to leave Darien on his own. He's just going to have to anchor. Crystal, does he wait or does he go for a timing spam here through the smoke?
30
Just
seconds.
going to wait, yeah, for now. Meanwhile, Darien's desperately on his camera trying to spot them out. Definitely finding them towards the back of screens up. It's a little bit too late. It's all up to Crystal, who has to push up a little bit further. Now manages to take down
It's okay ครับ It's okay bro
trying to stay alive.
ตุยๆ bro
Team
แต่แบบ
get back into this.
เลือดน้อยนะ
Look at
ต้องหาตัดละ
as well though. You mentioned that utility, and he still has a very good opportunity to use it. Just waiting in case they do peek into him, but nothing found so far. And this confirms they are all inside of heaven. Primi creeps but unfortunately crouched down.
อยู่ดีเดินกลับแล้วก็ยิงตัว
Sprays all of them down.
Very good awareness from
ไอ้ปาปียิ้มแฉ่งเลยอะดูดิ
felt like at the end of the
ยิ้ม
day,
แฉ่งเลย
Governor round. Primi, you still suspect that just a bit because they never re-cleared screens entirely. But once you take down Primi, do you expect the last member to have already left the site as well? But they're both low health. Poppy just keeps his crosshairs trained and he's ready for the last kill. And GE now continuing forward with 4.
ใครพลิกก่อนวะ
And this is, I mean, Ban had to come out. He had to try to buy time from back of sight. He had to open things up even further after the information. But that barrier mesh, it's an absolute pain for Talon.
Just kind of fully collapsing into them and slowing them down.
กูตังฮะ
Being able to kind of
กู
transition.
ตังอินนามะ What the fuck
But that retake
bro you hear that bro
apart still.
กูตังอินนามะ
Playing grouped up together.
I hear that bro
Showed how they were able to kind
What
of
the
I
fuck
don't want to say dominate, but they did pretty darn well on this map last week.
Yeah, I mean, Yudotan, of course, having so many impact multi-kills on that map of Split in their very
เฮียมัน
first
พูด
game
อะไร
against
อ่ะเฮ้ย
but today, it's just been across the board. It's just been
You
really
hear that, bro?
Happy with the timings alongside Kilias on that deadlock. The deadlock has been finding a lot of value, and we'll see how Talon really plans to combat that. Early on, they were pretty good about drawing out that barrier mesh early, but then they didn't really have the clean mid-rounding. Now they try to go for a rush. The barrier mesh, once it blocks them off, and they're not able to support their teammate Ban in the site. So where do they find that balance? I mean, I would still love to see just drawing that barrier mesh out. It's just such a pain. It's the same thing with Vice, right? You got to do something about the shear wall. You can't just assume that you'll be able to work around it because that's a prime point of information and delay from the opponents on the defensive side.
Absolutely. I imagine what this timeout is for. So needing to kind of draw out a lot more utilities, but at the same time, the stakes are rising. You got so many ultimates at play in this round.
That Armageddon still in the hands of Primi hasn't really found a good chance to use
คนเขาก็กลัวพิมิกันสูงนะถ้าแพ้กันรู้เรื่องอะ
in the post plant. Yoru still just gonna find space and time here in ramps. He's trying to push up. Getting aggressive.
โอ้โห แล้วหันห
He
น้าหนี
doesn't expect the swing out.
เล่นทำอย่างเงี้ยเหรอ
And Yudotan's ready for it. And now you know, all right, it had to just be one. There's no trade-off. You're ready in vents, and then there's the grab net. There's just so much delay.
Oh my god. Annihilation as well. Alongside the paint shells, the spam comes through. Yudotan in with a showstopper, but it doesn't quite connect. They're trying to push off of the space that they've gotten, and Yudotan unfortunately falls to Governor. Governor now pulls out his showstopper, but he's working against numbers.
เหลือตัวเดียว
It's all alone.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I mean, at the very least, they drew out a lot of the ults from the global side.
โคตรคูลว่ะ
If they can reset, but Governor was stuck, so the rest of the team of Talon tries to just buy time for him. And now he's the only one left. He's already used his showstopper down to 86 health, trying to creep into the B site. If he gets a timing against Poppy, sure, but if not, this looks nigh impossible. And Poppy's just ready for it. He doesn't need to watch anywhere else because the rest of his team, is watching.
อ๋อป๊อป
Instantly
ปี้
you would have spotted out the barrel. You know, Governor went up to check heaven. It's just the instant shot. I mean, definitely not kind of the impact you want to have from that coach timeout.
Yeah, I can't imagine what the coach cam looks like after that round. It's just an absolute mess, but really what it comes down to is the fact that G has the read. If they find the Yoru ahead, if they go out for the peek out and there's no trade against Yudotan, okay, we're going to make the read that it's only one person, that there's going to be pressure elsewhere, and they're immediately ready to just crunch onto mid with an absolute massive utility.
That's just kind of what the comp truly affords. But now, okay, starting things off, cosmic divide.
You've been caught. Yudotan, yeah, he's ready for the
ยังจะออกมา
swing
ทัน
out.
อี
I
ก
mean,
ไอ้เหี้ย
you use the cosmic divide, but it doesn't matter. Still,
มัน
his
หนัก
teammate's
เว้ย
going to be able
ต
to
อนเนี้ย
hear the sound from that
GE มัน
red
ทำการบ้านมาดีว่ะ
Takes a lot of damage.
แมปนี้ด้วยแมปมันนี่ว่ะ
Pillar through the smoke.
เว้ยมันเซตอัพโหด
However, G are already
แมปมันนะเหี้ย
reaction to this. Poppy
ดูดิ
hanging towards the back, watching the exits of that smoke. Crystal up around the corners with the outlaw. Yudotan from the top of heaven gunned down though. So a slight opportunity for Talon, but
คือ
unfortunately
เล่นยังไงก็โดนอ่ะ
pinched into the site at the end.
จีทำกันบ้านมาดีเกินแบบนี้
Crystal's Prowler has been very, very good. I feel like there's always at least one that leads to a kill almost every single round. Even just now, it's being sent into the smoke and someone's already trained right at the edge of the smoke so that when the Prowler activates, they can switch right away to where that Prowler would be going. They're also just so aware of how this Yoru is going to play, trying to create space and trying to displace crosshairs from the back of sight. And the real big problem is that once again, sure, you take down the barrier mesh, but Talon has yet to really claim control, solid control of one part of the map while destroying all the delay utility.
Yeah, tried to push faster, but clearly that doesn't quite work out. Outlaw still in the hands of Crystal, and he's marking this. Spots out the shoulder and instantly Governor's down.
Just look at how confident they are as well, right? Holding this wider off angle there with the Outlaw. You know it's an eco, and you know that they either have to invest a lot of their smokes ahead of time to try to gain space, or they're going to have to go for these dry peaks. It's a very confident move from Global Esports just to try to continue the snowball.
เนี่ยแล้วแลนมันเนี่ยเราจะพีคว่าเดี๋ยวแบนก็พีคเด้อ
Back into mid, you find the
เดี๋ยว
barrel
ว่า
as well. I mean,
โชคดีเมื่อกี้มันเช็คแล้วมันเดินถอยเลยถือว่าโชคดีของเราเนี่ยอันเนี้ยเริ่มข้อเสียแล้วล่ะ
yes, I spotted something out by the mini map.
Oh, they hear that again.
ด้วยคอมโบ
You know he's trapped. Okay, it's a good fight back, but eventually it's the paint shows.
อันนี้ได้สอง
They just have so many variations
คอมโบ
between
เนี่ย
Yudotan
เซต
and
อัพโคตรดี
Kelly. And Talon just has not figured out an answer. I
จิตเข้ามาได้
want to say
นะ
that it might
ยาก
almost be worth it for the coaching staff of Talon to call yet another timeout. I know it's already very late, but if you go into the second half with only 2 rounds, sure, it's split. You know, say what you want. But I just don't think they have good answers in terms of how their util counters the defensive util and the delay util from Global Esports.
It really limits your options. If you go into the defensive half this way, you're really trying to work with the retakes, especially on a composition like this. So, you know, you need to find some kind of an answer. I mean, the previous round, sure, it's a little bit of an eco, but you still don't want it to look like this. And you mentioned the whole thing with Kelly S alongside Yudotan. Right now, it is just so impeccable.
Oh, this is an absolute massive first half already from GE. Obviously, they would like a couple more rounds themselves to really feel comfortable. Then you can really just focus on that pistol. Now it's going to be a 5-man stack. You've got Rolling Thunder. You've got Armageddon. You got to dump everything you can just to even get into the site. They haven't planted a spike in a long time, and Yudotan gets
มันเซตอัพมาดีมากเลยอ่ะ
again.
ยอมอันนี้ยอมเลยเซตอัพโคตรดี
With their teammates down,
ดูเอลเดินไม่ได้เว้ย
can't quite do too much.
ต้องเอาโซว่าไม่ก็ต้องเอาเฮียโฮมันใช้สกิลเคลียร์ทุกอย่างเว้ยแต่มันก็ยากอีกเพราะมันเป็นของที่แบบปาส่งอะเปลี่ยนเดดล็อกเลสเนี่ยคอมโบกันได้ทั้ง2ตัวเลย3ตัวมันจะมีแล้วตายอีกโดดอีก
Might even be an effective crossfire,
มี
but
แต่
a little bit of an
มีแต่ตัวแบบคอมโบอ่ะ
down, but straight
ยากอ่ะ
into the site, and that's Jit Boy's downed. All left onto Cruz. I don't quite know how he's going to work around this. The sonic sensor is still there, and Jit Boy's right around the corner too. I mean Poppy, excuse me.
Yeah, Poppy's just gonna wait, but once
Poppy
he
แม่ง
hears
รู้ดี
any
เกิ
sort of
น
sound, any util, anything of the spike,
ปีนี้
it's got to be a creep out. He's gonna play it safe. They're not quite sure. He doesn't want to take this 1v1, and this is so heads up from Poppy.
โอ้เดินมาทางนี้ด้วย
Has to check.
ดูดิ
It's a 1v3. He needs an extra kill. Look at this angle. It's so hard. He saw the gun
ดูดิ
barrel, and
ป๊อปปี้
Poppy
แม่ง
absolutely
รู้อ่ะ
outplayed
ป๊อปปี้
the
รู้อ่ะ
IGL of Talon.
so smart. I mean, so many different ways that he could have played it, but knowing that his team had the numbers advantage, right? Just to play in such a defensive spot, knowing that Cruz would have to clear or get the spike planted, right?
มันต้องแบบค่อยๆเข้าช้า
That would have been a 1v3, so just so incredible.
รอแบบให้มันปาของให้หมดอะผมยกถ้าปาของหมดอะ
Yeah, Cruz, I like that he just creeps into heaven. That was really the only option they had, but at the end of the day, you already lost too many of your teammates. And Poppy, once again, just holding strong over by the B side. And Talon, only 2 more chances to get some rounds in this first half.
Possibly thinking about the next map, but we'll see. For now, it's just still the guns not quite truly on their side. A lot of them light shields, so this outlaw still wreaking havoc. Interestingly enough, though, the setup has changed.
Yeah, just a stack onto the B side. GE trying to get ahead of the read just a bit. You have that showstopper, and Poppy is going to get that first kill. Grab that use. Oh, but Crystal takes down Ban. Still no control over ramps. Yes, you took Bin, but GE gifted it to you. They left it open. Barrier mesh still holding on B heaven. So much time bought.
Just so good on the variety of plays, the defensive setups. Still, though, Operator will be able to fire back, so maybe a slight opportunity now. Stealth drone just to check, but Poppy's able to react so quick. Smokes up, and Governor is now blocked off. Has to try to maybe use the satchels to get over ahead of things. Showstopper coming through as well, but Yudotan still able to stop and slow down, dodging the blow.
ไอ้โก้ทำอะไรเมื่อกี้
Slam it all down.
9-2 going into the last round of the first half. Talon, they looked confident picking up this composition. I mean, I don't mind it in theory, right? I love the Euro when it's paired together with something like the Teo, really supplying those flashes and acting as that half initiator. I love the Breach along with the Teo and the Raze. It all makes sense up to that point. But you do have to go a bit all in, and they just couldn't figure out the answer against all this utility. And this time, Yudotan hiding away in that corner, never was quite spotted by the stealth drone, and they just don't expect that showstopper coming out.
They have tried to go all in on some of these rounds, but Kelly S alongside Yudotan have been stopping them time and time again. Look at this! The barrier mesh!
Oh no!
They managed to shoot it down though, so still able to slip on.
He hasn't checked backside. He hasn't checked backside!
No!
He hasn't for Poppy! Poppy's still holding in the back of sight. The panic coming through for Talon Pinchos, but he's gonna
Poppy แม่งมุมผู้ชนะจัดเลย
He's
ว่ะ
still surviving. Crystal comes in for support, and now Talon scattering across the entire map.
โอ้มีหลุมให้
Yeah, for Poppy to stay alive in, but still flushed out of position. Jit Boy is able to gun him down. He's towards the back now. It's all up for Global Esports to try to come in with yet another retake. 2-on-2. Cruz up from Evan. Unfortunately, Jit Boy falls. He swings, and that's Darian to pick up the kill at the end of it. We end the first half 10-2.
Holy moly, I mean, and on one part of it, when I saw the map draft, I thought, okay, but you did just show your split. So you're going into a map against a team that always likes to cook up some crazy things, a little bit of ante here and there, really try to throw you off. And you're saying, no, we're still confident that we know how to play this map, that we know that we have several layers, especially on that defense, as we just saw, on how to hold you off. And Global Esports, they prove it. And meanwhile, Talon, I mean, let's be honest, we can talk all about the theory, but the viewers aren't really quite seeing what this composition was cooked up for.
Yeah, it just hasn't really been able to show and stretch its legs right now. I mean, so many times they tried to make something happen. At times, maybe it's, you know, Governor or Ban being able to slip through the cracks. But at the end of it all, you got players like Poppy who are able to slow things down. You got Kelly S on the deadlock, repeatedly annoying them with that barrier match. And at the same time, Yudotan is able to slay and strike a lot of them down. Not to mention, Crystal in with the outlaw at times as well.
So now, flipping sides, I do think Talon would have loved to get just a couple more rounds here. Yeah, yes, it's double duelist, and so ideally a lot of people like to think they should have had more than 5, right? 6 or more on that attacking app. Quite frankly, I can still see a world where they would have been okay with maybe 4 rounds. But right now with 2, I mean, you lose the pistol again, you're just not given a chance to showcase what you wanted to do on the defensive half. So it starts with the pistol, and then once they go from there, again, whether it's things like the trap plays with the fault line and then the salvos, you're gonna have a little bit more control on when to use that utility rather than having to go blindly into an all-in with no info, right? That information lacking on this side was a big part of the downfall of Talon's attack, but on the defense, you can always have multi-layer trap plays and just react step by step.
That's definitely what they're gonna want to do. Just being able to have those double initiators just affords them so much, but right now, at the same time, Global Esports with a slightly more like balanced team perhaps. They get to kind of take their time with things and starting things off. It's going to be the bot down mid.
Come down, bro.
That's already a fault line out though, so still 40 seconds now for Global Esports to make a move, and then you saw the blind side come out too. So the flash gone, that's a big part of one of those trap plays. Now that's knocked out for the pistol. Oh, shit,
ตัว
boys!
จิต
Gets 2 out of 3, but it's a big
โอเคอยู่
slowdown against
น่า
GE
สมองมันมา
attack.
ด้วยผมขอ
Crazy individual performance.
2 เซน
And I like the group up here
โอ้
from
มัน
Talon. They're not going to send everybody
ทีม
just
มัน
because they want
กัน
to.
ร้อยนี่หว่า
Are they heaven?
2 เซ
Even
น
if they
เนี่ย
play A, are they all on site?
เรียน
So they're getting that information.
เรียนย้อน
They
ไป
have
เล
the
ย
numbers advantage.
เรียน
So
ไซ
stay
เฟอร์ไปเลยว่า
grouped
มี
up to try to make sure that they can combat wherever
ชิบ
the
หายแล้วมันมาข้างหลังไอ้แบน แบน
Don't know about Darion. They haven't actually gotten into heaven just yet.
So I-
Ban is able to save himself though.
Just quick as well. Bearman
Bro, what the fuck?
fend off stairs, but
Why you jump like
They're
that?
gonna stall and slow them down. Everyone from Talon already grouping up into the site. Sight lines being held as well. Yudotan gonna try to play around the timing of it just to watch if anyone does peek out. But Ben still being such a menace towards the back of sight. It's all down to Kelly. Yes, now the paint shell's in his face. Stunned up, able to take down Primi at the very least, but then again comes Ban.
ไม่พิมพ์ที่ได้คลาสสิก
A
ทิ้ง
little
เหมือ
bit
นว่าเฮ้ย
dicey here and there, but they will just play to their advantage for Talon. And at the end of the day, you just needed that pistol round. You needed that to get some breathing room. Now you've got potentially, in theory, another round to go as well. So we'll see how they try to snowball that by. Good flick over from Ban. If they lost Ban there, I think the round starts to fall apart. But they're able to keep that numbers advantage.
Starting things off with Jit Boys especially towards the back of the site as well. But now onto the next round. I mean, we have seen how Talon started things off not too shabbily, you know, in the previous half, but how are GE able to answer back? Still, this round, all classics.
Oh, and look at the A setup as well. Gate crash into elbow so that if Ban gets first contact, he's still going to fill the site. That's something to keep note of in the future rounds as well. Giving up vents, though. That's why they're continuing to push out from A main. Talon, they just want to make sure that they have a multi-angle here on the retake. He's going to go ahead and take the gate crash, actually.
เอ้าครู
Crew's all alone.
Why you
Does
peek
get
like that
the
bro
numbers.
There
No,
it is,
nah.
back in the elbow
ไม่นะ
with the Marshall as well. So
เฮ้ย
huge sight line, and he definitely spots
สวย
things out. Goes for the
สวย
retake. That's a third kill.
ใจเย็นใจเย็น
Goes to
สวย
answer, and it's
สวย
It is. He
เฮ้ย
left
มาดิ
everything down and will
บายมาแล้วเว้ย
the unstoppable menace.
Well, I mean, you know, you get an
Eco
ace,
kill
able to
เลย
your crews, you're okay with that sacrifice on
ออ
ramps.
ฟเลย
Delay them just a bit. Try to funnel them into heaven, of course, peeking out of that window. Nice and calm. We got to remember, Ban obviously used to play a lot of that jet as well. He used to play a lot of that op himself. He's used to playing these long-range angles, and that's something this team needed to try to get back into the game.
Yeah, you gotta imagine it's such a huge morale boost. Not to mention economy as well. He's onto the op this time.
So that op gonna bounce back and forth. Look at the gate
Gate
crash
crash.
already set up over on the A side, and it's a huge push-out trap play. They want to utilize the fact that they might have slightly weaker weaponry, but we're gonna shove you into the operator's crosshair.
Yeah, taking so much space. Ban straight into garage. But GE thinks better than that, just to kind of hold passively around 2 or around mid. Oh, but Poppy actually
Team
peeks
high.
on the op.
Hold from Poppy, holding that off angle close to the wall, because you imagine, okay, if they're pushing that hard out of A, but they're
Then default
not
on it,
chasing, where else is the information coming from? This is your bonus. This is where you take risks. So I love the patience from Poppy to wait for that operator, and now that's a big investment gone.
Still though, okay, GE trying to regroup back towards A, but look at what's happening on the minimap, Jit Boys. Quite a bit of information towards the mid side.
And Jit Boys pinching in as
มานี่
well.
วะ
Wondering when they start to call Governor back over to A, because right now you saw information over by ramps. You're still seeing just the fade util though, so no clear information. But Talon, the comms not quite there just yet. It's just Jit Boys trying to pinch through. So now you just have to hold and see if you can delay on the site and then go for a multi-pronged retake. Does he give the angle?
30 seconds.
Jit Boys!
สวย
Oh, but down on
โอ้
the
แต่แม่ง
side, Primi
เห็น
falls.
ว่ะ
So Global able to flood down the site now. A little bit of screens pressure as well. Crystal up around the
นิน
side.
จา
Jit Boys with the Vandal now picked up, trying to create a little bit more havoc, trying to get a
ไม่
little
ได้
bit
เคลียร์
more
นิน
space for
จา
his team in with
ชิ
the
บหาย
stars.
แล้ว
Bricks a little bit of down.
สวย
Governor
เอลโบตัวท้ายปะ
does a
ไม่ใช่
little
ดิ
bit more damage too, and Jit Boys swing
โอ้โหวิบ
tension away.
อ่า
Shut down by Kelly S. A bit
ภา
of
พเดิม
spam
เลย
through
เนี่ย
the screens, and unfortunately Cruz down to low HP will fall, and that is GE up to 11.
Neat little thing that Yudo does there, right? He catches sight and then he hide behind the screen, just goes for spam. Whether he hits him or not, it's going to force Governor to move. Governor actually gets tagged quite a bit there as well, so he's already weak. but a nice little maneuver there from Yudotan. Jit Boys, if they won this round, he would have been the MVP of the round. Gets so much space, gets so much information, picks up the Vandal as well. But unfortunately, they're not able to win that 2v2 at the end. Great teamwork from Kellyus and Yudotan. And that's going to be the second time out from Talon.
Yeah, that's one of those rounds where, you know, from a macro perspective, things looked so good for Talon. They could have actually converted that bonus, but now with that lost, definitely needing to try to pick up the pieces with this timeout.
Now, something we also need to note is Frost and Juvenile, right, the current head coach of Global Esports, they did face off at Champions when Juvenile was still with Leviathan. And that was a match where Talon looked like they had a very good chance of taking it, but Leviathan, they wake up, they're still able to hold on to that win 2-0, and then of course Leviathan makes a pretty deep run all the way into the bracket. So I know that's something that the coaching staff of Talon Esports wasn't quite happy about. They thought they might have had a golden chance to try to break it into the playoffs of champions. Wasn't quite able to get there, but then they shake it off. They say, okay, we're rebuilding, you know, around Primi anyway, right? We're trying to work around Primi as that new addition. Now we go through the offseason. They looked like they were experimenting a lot, trying to really hash out some of the issues they were having. Right now, we're not seeing a good result out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one hell of a run back when you think about it. You know, the coach is coming involved as well, but once again, it really is just Primi not quite having the opportunity so far. Hopefully on the defensive side a little bit more, and we start things off with just quite a bit towards mid again. Governor coming back into peak.
Yeah, very
risky.
Yeah, risky position, but still gets a lot of info, right? No double peeks there. Catches sight of one member over by Ramen. And Governor's just going to be able to try to hold on his own, just trying to delay with the boombot as well. So it allows Talon to still go for a fairly default position. Now you have that trap play ready in mid. You're going to see that fault line potentially come in. Because they've given a timing for GE to try to reclaim control. You know that there's going to be a push and pull. When do they peek out, though? So many smokes coming out. Still no contact.
Just holding. Stealth drone from Primi. Doesn't spot anything out either. Darren managed to stay and avoid it.
I'll handle this.
Oh, the ult just to check. That's 3 members. But they're not quite in range right now for a kill off of the fault
ไปต่อ
line.
สวยไปเจอ4
From Cruz, but how long
อันนี้เลือกจะเหลือ A ยิงไม่ได้ไหมเห็นแล้วยิงไม่โดน สวย
Devin, right? You're saying, okay, the Yoru's behind you. Where do you go?
โดนกดแล้วถอยไม่ได้ต้องเข้ายังไงก็ต้องเข้าสักที
It's gonna be expired. And there's
สั
the
น
fault
สวย
line delay. Now
อันนี้เล่นดีอันนี้เล่นดี
left. That GE had to make a choice. They're caught up. They're
ทิ้งบนเลยเหรอ
well. They're gonna try to fill the site.
ปล่อยเขาเข้าเลยนะคุ้มเหรอวะ
You gotta worry about the back as well. GE.
เขาเป็นอย่างงี้คุ้มเขาเป็นอย่างงี้คุ้ม
Flood into the site, but look at the flash. It is ready. Primi holding on the sight lines as well. Elbow block.
สวยแพนติ้งตัวนึง
That's Cruz in with
สวย
the other as well. And Talon manages
คุ
to
มดีอยู่โอเค
So Talon this time, the patience of holding on to things like the fault line really scares GE into, okay, where do we push forward to get some more information? We didn't really get clarity in mid. We didn't see any reactions. They were trying to bait out some sort of movement. Then you see the Euro come out, but you're not quite able to chase it all the way through because you've left B main garage empty the entire time. So you don't know, did we see Jit Boys push out? Is he going to go for a trade? We're not quite sure, so let's stick with mid. But then you lose your raise as well. So now you're just caught in mid, and then it's a timing play from Talon, and they're starting to find some footing.
Just a little bit. Now with the guns as well, hopefully able to keep
ไม่เอาเพื่อนอุ้ย
GE a little bit passive though.
Bait.
The alt orb.
Oh.
Goes in for the swing, but look at that.
หัวใจจะวาย
Oh, lots of members spotted by Governor as well. I love the close range paint shells in case they decided to pile on, and Utah still gets a long range fight.
โก
Onto the site.
A quick reaction.
เฮ้ย
Jit Boys able to counter
ลูกซองแม่งแรงจังอะ
the judge. And now towards the back now. Cruz.
เฮ้ยทำไรกัน
Wow.
บร
I've really seen the grab.
ชิบหายแล้ว
Being able to land that shot so easily 1v1 works out for Kelly, yes. Usually we see it
ได้อยู่
more for
โอ้
set plays.
เอาหรอ
They will be able to recover the spike as well. Obviously, weaponry not on their side. However, Annihilation available. If GE wanted to try to make a play for map
มัน
point,
ไม่เห็
which
น
I
สไป
would
ไง
not mind,
ถ้า
you're
มันเห็น
6
มัน
rounds
อยู่
ahead.
รอง
I would like to see a little bit of risk taking, because if you use the Annihilation, limit them down to a 2v2, now suddenly it looks doable.
Still though, not too much information on where their opponents might be. Right now, having to check and clear a lot of the corners, so a bit of a double peek in towards Mail, but it's the setup high-low from Talon to kind of counter them. Jit Boys able to shoot them down.
starting to catch up. GE has to remember that they're not quite at 12 just yet. However, once again, lots of ults online. Is it going to be an ult dump on this round? It looks like it. They're set up all 5 onto the A site. You're seeing the pings and where they want to clear. Perhaps over for that deep pain shells to try to clear things off, or they just want to check that cubby. We'll see what the play is.
Throwing net. 30 seconds left.
The real question is going to be Talon's response. You're looking at the scoreboard, you see all these ultimates online, they're gonna leave A relatively empty. So it's going to be a retake, you have that Rolling Thunder, and you have the Cosmic Divide as well. I like the fast push out of mid, you really just want to force them into one of the sites.
Yeah, G makes a think for it. So straight into the A site, and instantly Ban kind of leaves it open. So a bit of a retake setup. The op shot does take one of the players down as well, so that's instant value too.
You have to hold on to screens because you don't have that barrier mesh anymore.
Trying to keep that there. Rolling Thunder, though, will connect into the site, but Jit Boys kind of avoids it. I mean, Poppy avoids it for now, so maybe a little bit of an opportunity. Damage spray. Push out off the Rolling Thunder. Now, it's all down to just Ban. And he's got the op, tries to peek out, but Yudo takes him down once again. It is GE up to
Poppy with the perfect timing on the Cosmic Divide. Completely ruins the Rolling Thunder. Talon wanted to try to wrap into the site ASAP. You look at the angle, it wasn't just for ramps. It was actually saying, we don't care if there's someone on the lurk, we're going to push into the site. But then they all get stopped. They're not quite sure how to peek out of this. And the way the Cosmic Divide, look at this. You peek out of it, you still have to take the 50-50. Afterwards, there's a little bit of that distance right next to the wall. It makes it such a nightmare to peek out, and now GE at 12.
So unfortunate with that Rolling Thunder not connecting. So now, huge opportunity, especially with some of the ultimates right now. Talon, though, still trying to fight back. They take space outside of Garage.
See how long they wait, though. It's a double team, so they want to try to set up a trap play, but this is what Poppy's been doing the entire map. He just waits. The rest of his team gets information, and then he sees what is the reaction. Is it a push out or is it not? Primi catches sight. I think Crystal did too, given his jiggle. Little bounce back and forth, but now Primi calls for backup. They want to push this out. They have to, because given their composition, they need to fight to take space and get information.
ไปสู้จริงเหรอ
Trying to go in
ปื
for
น
it.
สู้ไม่ไหวนะ
All 3 of them. Trying to go in for maybe the trade setup as well, right? Peeking off of each other. But the
Oi.
now comes out. Just a
โอ้เรียบร้อย
peeking out of the cage. Unfortunately, the timing of it all, it's just a setup for GE to react back into the utility that they sent through. Primi tries to stay alive into the corner. A bit of a one and done. He's able to get away with 2, but it's still not enough.
Face your fear.
Jit Boys still only a sheriff as well.
หาย
See if
จริ
he
ง
can get in range to pick anything up, but Poppy looks like he's ready to shut that down.
ป๊อปปี้ดู
Now
แฟง
look at
อี
the
ก
positions. I mean, GE all ready to just pick off these 1v1s. Over by
มัน
Poppy.
จะหันมาปะ
He's not looking. Jit Boys, does he find a timing? He
สวย
does. Now a 2v1.
โบรโบรโบร
To Crystal versus Jit Boys.
โอ้
Just trying to hold her up around the spike. Side of elbow.
ทามมิ่ง
It's gonna be the headshot
โอ้โห
just in
ทามมิ่ง
the
โคตรเหี้ย
13-6. Global Esports ends the first map.
จีปีนี้เล่นดี
Really,
ว่ะ
really well played from GE, and I think we saw a little bit of the undercooked moments from Talon even in that last round. They're trying to peek out of that ramps control. They